Good morning, my beloved. Good morning. So glad to see you in whatever form that I can. Welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. I am Kate Walker, and I am honored to serve as your minister. We gather as Unitarian Universalists to celebrate life and love, to find comfort and to recommit ourselves to care for one another on our spiritual journeys. We strive to care for the earth and build the common good. And my beloved, it is so good to be together. We are a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger and working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. And to that effort, we countered the doctrine of discovery by naming and honoring the traditional indigenous inhabitants of this land, the Piscataway, the Powhatan, and the Doag, now known as the Toks. You are encouraged to find an Indigenous organization that you want to support. Whether you are new to this community or a longtime member, no matter what propelled you to set aside this time and join us in worship, I want you to know that you are very, very welcome here. We especially welcome our visitors this morning. You are invited to stay after our worship for our social hour on Zoom. If you would like to be in touch, please send us an email at info@mvuc.org, info@mvuc.org. And I know this week we got a nice special announcement from the Board of Trustees and Lynn Millett, and she would like to make sure that you all have seen this with her own in-person, a virtual live announcement of that. There's Lynn Millett, our chair of our Board of Trustees.
Good morning, Mount Vernon. You all should have received an email, but on behalf of the board, I am really pleased to share that Reverend Christian Schmidt will be our interim minister starting in August, and I'd like to tell you just a little bit about him. He grew up in Texas and has served congregations in Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland, and California. He was at senior co-minister with his wife, Reverend Kristen Grasselschmidt, at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Berkeley, California. He spent the last year working remotely, as so many of us have, as interim minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley in Texas. He believes in shared and collaborative ministry and is looking forward to engaging with our congregation. He and his wife, she is now serving as minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church at Silver Spring, are the parents of 4 children who I expect will be active in our various children and multi-generational programs, and they live in Olney, Maryland. I mentioned at the annual meeting that interim ministry is a deliberate choice. It is a specific type of work that we as a congregation undertake over the course of 2 years before calling a new settled minister. I am really thrilled that Reverend Schmidt has recent experience with interim ministry, and he is enthusiastic to work with us on those tasks, as well as participate in MVUC's church life and ongoing activities. You should have received an email on Friday with a letter from the board's interim search team, a note from Reverend Schmidt himself, and a short video message. The board will continue to hold office hours on Zoom throughout the summer, and we're going to be announcing some new dates for those soon. So if you have questions or would just like to chat, please come visit during the office hours or reach out to any of the board members, and we're happy to schedule a call or hopefully soon in-person visits. That's all I have, Kate.
Thank you, Lynn.
Sure.
Appreciate it very, very much. And I want to add my own affirmation and endorsement of Reverend Schmidt. He has been a longtime colleague, and he comes with the highest level of integrity and just perseverance and resilience and compassion and brilliance. And I'm just so delighted to hand over my keys and this beautiful group of people to Reverend Schmidt. I have no doubt that you are going to be in really, really good care. And that makes my life so much easier, even as I transition out of this community. I want to say that my last service, since we're talking about my transition out, is on June 13th. That's in 2 weeks. And everyone is invited to gather for my last service in person in our parking lot. We are renting a very large event tent, but not everyone, of course, will fit under that tent. So we were going to put the cars off to the side, and in the meadow, you're invited to bring a chair, umbrella, hats, water, whatever's needed. We're going to have live music, live preaching, live people, live dragons, maybe, yes, some dragons. And we're going to have a sound system that everyone can hear and will surely annoy the neighbors. So we're going to gather for a lovely revival as we celebrate the ministry that we have accomplished together for the last 13 years. There will be some COVID restrictions. They're still sorting out. The COVID task force and the board will be sorting that out in the next week or so as we get fresh information from the CDC and state guidelines. So please stay tuned about what any COVID restrictions will be. And I promise the service will also still be live on Zoom. So if you are not able to be here for any reason, whether because of geography or for health, you can still stay at home and watch on Zoom. We're so delighted that Chris Clark is making that possible for everybody. So next week, we have our annual music service with Mark Zimmerman, the choir, some of our brass players and our bell players, and it's just going to be wonderful. And I will offer a short homily that can only support the music that we have at this community. And today's service, we are honoring our military service members who have died while in service to this country. And later in the service, you'll be invited to type into the chat the name of someone in particular to your heart or call out their name wherever you are. I will ritualize their names by placing a stone in our water that has been blessed by all of us. Instead of a reading today, I've chosen 2 short, inspiring, and courageous video testimonies by surviving military spouses. I think you'll find your heart will expand this morning as we recognize all those who have died in service to their country. And as we continue in our service today, as is our custom, we've turned off your microphones and we encourage you to keep your cameras off so you can move about without distracting others. At the end of the service, after the postlude, we'll invite you to turn on your cameras and you can wave to each other, give a virtual hug, and you will then be prompted to turn on your cameras. Of course, please wait for that. And if you need live transcription, you can turn that on. I'm not seeing it at the moment, but I know Joanna's looking for that button right now as we speak. We'll turn the transcription option on for you so that you can have that. I invite you now to take a long, slow, deep breath as we enter into a time of worship. The closed captioning is now turned on. Yep. Today, as we close out the month of May, we have been looking at forgiveness, something we should look at every day. Forgiveness is an act of love that is beyond measure. As we peer into our hearts during these moments when we know we have missed the mark, when we have hurt others, we seek forgiveness. For those times we have missed the mark of love and we have been hurt, we offer forgiveness. We seek to lighten the weight upon our heart and our soul for all the times we have fallen short of our best self. We also bear witness to others when they fall short of their best self and know we are all so beautifully, humbly human. May our best self be offered to each other, to our community, to our country, and to all of humanity as we remember those who have died in military service, for they often hold their best self forward. May the light of this chalice remind us of the light of love that guides our growth into a deeper experience of empathy and connection. For this is how the blessing of forgiveness can be taken and given and received. This is how we want to stand and honor all of those who have died in service to this country. Let us all sing our opening hymn.
Would you turn in your gray hymnals, please, to number 8, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. Words are also available in your orders of service or on your screen. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky song, in the forest songs your cry. What to give you, what to call you, what am I? Many drops are in the ocean deep and wide. Sunlit bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I? I am empty, time flies from me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts. Take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our art.
Please bring your voices together within your homes as we recite our covenant. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life and community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all.
Memorial Day Surprise by Teresa Martin Golding, illustrated by Alexandra Artigas. Is it a really big surprise, Mama? Asked Marco. Oh, yes, said Mama. It's a very big surprise, but we must hurry. The parade will start soon. Marco held Mama's hand tightly and walked faster. Many people were leaving the porches of their brick row houses. Children skipped down the steps of the big apartment building. Abuelo, Marco's grandfather, lived there on the 5th floor, but Mama said there was no time to stop. What could the surprise be that made Mama rush so? They always stopped to visit Abuelo. Marco watched the flags dance in the breeze. "What is Memory Day, Mama?" he asked. Mama smiled. "It is called Memorial Day," she said, "but Memory Day is a good name too. It's a time to remember some special people." "Who, Mama?" "You will see," she said. Two girls swooped past Marco, red and blue streamers fluttering from their bicycles and swishing in the wind. Everyone was in a hurry to get to the parade. When they reached the avenue, Marco's eyes opened wide. All the stores where Mama liked to shop were closed. The sidewalks were crowded with people sitting on folding chairs or colorful blankets. Two boys were even sitting on top of the big blue mailbox. Marco sat on the curb with Jenna. The sun was hot on the top of his head. The big avenue seemed different without its zooming cars and rumbling trucks. It was like a rushing river that had run out of water. Marco jumped up. "Did you hear that?" he asked. The faint brup, brup, brup of a drum sounded in the distance. Marco held his breath as the band marched closer and stopped right in front of him. The leader slowly raised his baton, and the music burst into the air. Horns and drums and the clash of cymbals. Marco stood very still. The music was inside him, alive and jumping in his chest. Boom, boom, he felt the thunder in his stomach. Crash, crash, it tingled down his arms. Batons flew in the air, pom-poms swooshed, feet stamped in rhythm, and the band moved on. Marco wished Abuelo could have heard the music. Maybe it would have made his legs tingle again. "Was that the surprise, Mama?" Marco shouted. "Was it? Was it?" "No, Marco," Mama said. "The surprise is even more special than a marching band." A siren screamed, and Marco jumped. A long red fire engine rolled down the avenue, its lights spinning and flashing. A firefighter walked beside the big engine. He stopped and shook Marco's hand. He gave Marco a little flag. Marco waved the flag at the noisy fire truck. "Was that the surprise, Mama?" Mama shook her head. "No, Marco, the surprise is even more special than meeting a real firefighter." "Look!" Jenna shouted. A truck was pulling a big float right down the street. It was the Statue of Liberty. A man with a dark beard stood in front of the statue. With his tall hat and long face, he looked just like Abraham Lincoln. Jenna frowned. "They're throwing things at people," she said. "That's not nice." "It's candy!" screamed Marco. Marco and Jenna dropped to the ground and scooped up all the candy that fell at their feet. "Mama, look!" Marco opened his fist and showed her all the sweets he had collected. "That was the surprise, wasn't it?" "No, Marco," Mama said. "The surprise is even more special than catching candy in a parade." Marco put a butterscotch into his pocket. He would give it to Abuelo when he told him all about the parade. What was happening? All the people stood up and began clapping. Marco could not see. There were no sirens, no band, and no falling candy. Still, the clapping became louder. Men and women in uniforms with shiny medals came marching down the avenue. Right up in the very front was Marco's grandfather. "Abuelo!" Marco shouted and waved his hands. "Why is your grandfather in the parade?" Jen asked. Marco stood tall. "My grandfather is a hero." Abuelo put out his arms and Marco ran and climbed into his lap. "Happy Memorial Day, Marco," Abuelo said. Marco threw his arms around Abuelo's neck. "Happy Memory Day, Abuelo." He took the butterscotch out of his pocket and pressed it into his grandfather's warm hand. Marco did not need to ask Mama. He knew this was the best Memory Day surprise of all.
I love that story. What a beautiful story. It's time now for our offering, and Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that our members have chosen. For the month of May, it is the Katie Tyson Fund, and this fund began at this church by Karen and Herb Tyson, and the fund now resides with Unitarian Universalist Association, where it offers financial support to Unitarian Universalist youth and emerging young adults and for leadership training and spiritual growth. It is actually one of the funds that's being featured for this year's General Assembly later in June. It has been named in the memory of Katie Tyson, a young adult who grew up in this church and who inspired others with her beautiful visionary love of Unitarian Universalist faith and her commitment to all of our futures. Today, as always, we split our offering 50-50 between this fund, the Katie Tyson Fund, and Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. We have our own mission and vision to continue to embrace and dedicate ourselves to. You're welcome to write a check, and you can mail it right here to Holy Hill at 1909 Windmill Lane. You can pay by text or via credit card on your church account. There's more information that can be found in the slide in the chat box. During this time of music, we invite you to tenderly name in the chat box any of your heart, in your heart that's carrying joys and sorrows that you would like to share. We will share a little bit later those who have died in the service of our country. So hold that part, please. Let us enjoy our offering.
So my dad was a single parent. Growing up, I took a lot of responsibility. I filled in quite a bit for roles that a mother would play, getting the boys ready for school, helping with homework, teaching them about riding a bike or, etiquette and having manners. There was no support for him. He didn't get to go get food stamps. He didn't get to get public housing. It was us. And I'd fight for my brothers. I was my brother's keeper is what he would call me. And, Andrew was the defender and Freddie was our courage. He was the motivator. And so those were kind of the roles that we grew up with. And we had the time of our lives. Freddie had a scholarship. He was a good student. He had already had his EMT license. He was on a good path. And we struggled with being in a financial position of who's going to pay for school. And he took that burden on his shoulders, and he joined the military. And I was afraid. I was more afraid of him leaving where I could control. I couldn't control him leaving that far. Then not but a year and a half later, here comes Andrew, right? And I think in all looking back, I don't think I would have stopped them, but I definitely would have jumped in for one more hug. I get a phone call early in the morning. It's my sister-in-law and somebody's been killed. Was it 50,000 troops in Iraq at that time? We can't be the one out of 50,000 people. Get a knock on the door, and I go to open it. They tell us that Freddie's been killed. Freddie hurts, right, like deep, but Andrew, like, tears me apart. I get a call, and it's my sister-in-law, Freddie's wife. Andrew's gone. And I'm like, oh, he went AWOL, or like he packed his bags and decided to come on his own and was like, I'm just coming home. And they're like, no, he's dead. I was like, how? Like, he wasn't supposed to be in combat. Like, how did this happen? And it's like he killed himself. I think I lost all my hope in those words. Right? The Monica that was ever there was gone. So I was introduced to the Travis Manion Foundation. I didn't realize what an amazing impact this was going to have on my life. This person that I had lost, that I didn't connect with anymore, I found her. I stood up and gave my first CDM presentation. And as I looked out on all of those faces, I found being a sister again. Somebody asking me what to do when they're getting bullied. Somebody asking me, Miss Monica, how can I get more involved? How can I serve my community? Asking for my guidance. And I found this purpose. This fire that had been turned out was now like reignited, and I suddenly found myself collecting all my siblings, having brothers and sisters, and being able to see my brothers in each one of those that I help. And it's been amazing to get out and work through my grief, to put the pain into action, to do something, to make it count, and ask myself, if not me, then who? Going through the airport here and seeing everybody there waiting for me, that feeling of when I'd come home and Freddie and Andrew would be sitting on the front porch waiting for me, or standing on the sidewalk. And it's that joy, that empowering feeling of this is where I belong. Being able to be around other veterans and other survivors, and being able to share, yeah, I've walked that hopeless path. I know what it feels like not to feel like you belong. But you get out and you help somebody else, and you take a little bit of that back. What better way to honor them, to make sure they're not forgotten? It's a perfect fit for me. It was the puzzle piece that was missing, that I was trying to put everything else in, and to finally find it, I feel whole again.
Please join me in prayer and moments of silence and meditation. Spirit of life and love, we enter this season of Memorial Day, surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, We remember those who are currently serving in the services, the military services, and the armed service. We pray for their safe return to their beloved ones, to their homes. We acknowledge that there are those who will not return. As we grieve their passing through prayers every day, we give pause to honor their service and their sacrifice. We pause this moment to give thanks for all the service members who have served throughout the history of our country, who have not caused harm despite their deep moral resistance. They honor their souls, they honor their hearts and their minds, doing what they must to protect us. None of us can truly experience or imagine the horrors of war and the aftermath, but we must do our best to listen to the stories. As we remember and acknowledge the losses that our country bears, we remember those whom we have lost, and we hold their names and their faces in our hearts and our minds. We recall the gifts they gave us, their strength, their endurance, their wisdom, their love, the depth of their beauty that they brought to the fullness of their living, even when their death was so tragic. In the holy quest of this time, and when our country feels like it is eternally at war, let us strive ever harder for creating peace and civility and kindness and compassion and courage, so that no more shall ever die in the service of anything. Let peace and justice and liberating love be the voice of this people throughout all the lands. Let those who have died know they are held in our hearts and in our memories. On this day, this weekend, let our country be reunited with our hearts full of grief. And let us honor all of the families of our service members who stand behind them in the shadows of death. Blessed be, and amen. I invite you now to type in the chat the names of those members of the service that have died either in active duty or at home. I invite you to name those long gone and those present. And if you would like to speak it out loud in your home and even with yourself muted, please know that your voice will be heard. I will be placing stones in our water on your behalf to help ritualize these names into our memories. for all these names and for so many more. Let our hearts be ever expanded, even with the pain of the love lost. Let us hold these people in our hearts with gratitude to honor them. May their spirits rest in peace. May their spirits fly free with the winds of love and beauty and God's hope. Amen.
I hear America singing the varied carols I hear. Walt Whitman. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. Abraham Lincoln. Where liberty dwells, there's my country. Benjamin Franklin. I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country. Nathan Hale. Freedom has its life in the hearts, the actions, the spirit of men. Dwight Eisenhower. We stand for freedom. That is our conviction for ourselves. That is our only commitment to others. John Kennedy. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door, Emma Lazarus.
Puerto Rico is beautiful. I mean, even the parts that are still struggling, rebuilding from Maria, to me are beautiful. It's the land that saw my husband be born, so I love it. My name is Veronica Ortiz Rivera. I was married to Staff Sergeant Javier Ortiz Rivera, and he was killed in action on November 16th, 2010. He was in the United States Marine Corps. Javier was born in Cayey, Puerto Rico. He lived here and then he moved to Rochester, New York in the 1990s. I remember he always said, you know, when I die, that it won't be a Puerto Rican flag draped over my casket, it'll be an American flag. And I always thought that when he passed, that he would want to be buried here in Puerto Rico with his grandparents. And in his will, he left that he wanted to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. His first deployment was in 2003 for the initial invasion in Iraq, and then he deployed 4 more times. But his last deployment was in September of 2010. He called me the day prior, and he said he would call me the next day at around that time, and at around the time that he was supposed to call me is when my doorbell rang. And I didn't want to answer the door because I felt like I needed to get the Christmas presents wrapped so that whenever he did call, I could tell him your Christmas presents are wrapped and they'll be on their way today. After the 3rd ring on the doorbell, I got up and I went to the door and I saw 3 men in uniform standing on my porch. And Javier had always told me, they will never come in uniform unless I'm dead. And so I thought to myself, they have to be at the wrong house. And they said my name. They said Mrs. Ortiz Rivera, and that's when I knew. I think the entire first year was the worst part of losing him. It was a lot of firsts. The first birthday, the first anniversary. It just was so hard in that first year to find any joy in life. Coming on this expedition to Puerto Rico has been very special. It feels like I'm literally helping his family. Even though the people that we're helping they're not related to him, it feels like family. And then I have gotten to see my father-in-law, who I'm very close to, and I've gotten to see Javier's dad's side of the family while we've been here, so it's been extremely special. As the years have gone on, I've realized that the best way to honor his life and his legacy is to live life and help others and try to make the world a better place and leave it a better place for my kids and, you know, for our generations to come. The Travis Manion Foundation and their mission really has helped me since I've been here, because it's not about let's sit around and cry. Let's do something in honor of them. Let's make a difference and honor their legacy through service. And so this really has been amazing and has really helped me to put it kind of all together, especially because it's here in Puerto Rico where he was born and where a lot of his family is still living. Puerto Ricans would say, Puerto Rico se levanta, which is translation for Puerto Rico will rise. And I've heard repeatedly from volunteers and from Sonia that Puerto Rico has risen because of the volunteers that have come in and helped them rise and have not given up on helping and, you know, sending supplies, donating money, and then the people that come here and just do the labor. And I think that that's beautiful, that, you know, they recognize that and that we could be a part of that. And then I think the biggest part for us is that we've been able to make a true connection with Sonia and just get to know her and love on her and let her know that, you know, her and anyone else who's gone through the hurricane or is struggling, and they're not forgotten. Even though we can't help everybody, we're glad that we were there to help her and make that connection with her. Javier could see the impact that is being made in the community here in Puerto Rico, he would be so grateful and he would be so proud.
Such beautiful testimonies. They have so impacted my heart, and I hope they have for you as well. It's a reminder, these stories, that every day is a memorial day for some. For those who know this truth, I want them to know that I see you. I see your pain. You are there in my heart and have changed my life, and I offer this in gratitude and affirmation to our military families, the survivors left behind in the shadow of the fallen. I also offer my words to those of you who, perhaps by skill, God's hand, or luck's random cast, never had the knock at the door. You have carried that unrelenting, abrasive presence, that phrase, knock on the door, which for most people brings up images of opportunity. Yet for you, this phrase is something much weightier. I have come to know our service members, particularly bearing witness to your deep love for your family. It is clear that to honor a service member, whether death arrived while in service to our country or from nature's ebbing effects long into retirement, we honor our service members by caring for you, their families. What I've seen is too many of you, dear families, carry your pain in your chest and your arms, the fresh and still bleeding, even as you buy groceries for your hungry and confused children. Perhaps you are the parent, the grandparent, the sibling, or the cousin. What I know is that you are all pragmatists. Life must be lived even in the tragic presence of death. What choice do you have, you say? No choice, not since that decision you made, that one made in the heat of love when you said yes to your beloved. And did you know how much your love would cost? Perhaps. Maybe you come from a military family and know without hesitation that you are able to carry this fear into the next generation. Or perhaps you did not fully understand the risks. It was theory only, distant, and so easily denied and put into a box that you desperately hope you never have to open when there is a knock at the door. That choice was made. Your love and your commitment to the one dedicated to service for all our country, filled with national pride, defense of our borders and honor and integrity and values fiercely held, all acting as guiding lights in a world full of darkness and fear. We hold these beliefs and values as testimony to humanity's quest for survival. We hold them to counterbalance the pain made of sacrifice. Once, long ago, I was a member of the military family when my older brother, as a fresh high school graduate, chose the Navy. I was young, still in middle school, and not able to fully comprehend what that choice meant. At that time, the most recent war was over. Bodies were everywhere, and a broken nation. But my brother was safe on a ship as far as I knew. I think I was too consumed with my own young emerging life to give any of my sisterly attention. There never was a knock at the door. But looking back, knowing what I know now, I am grateful for my young innocence and ignorance. I'm not sure I could have borne the weight of sacrifice. I'm pretty sure I would have died too if someone had knocked on our family door. Did you know, my friends, that the Friday before Mother's Day is National Military Spouse Appreciation Day? And let's just pause for a nanosecond and note that spouse, not wife, is the official term. Change is possible even in the great institutions that rely on deeply entrenched tradition. Well, if you didn't know that this day that Congress created in 1999 was for Military Spouse Appreciation Day, you're not alone, because those appreciated and honored, according to several military spouses, declare they are not the hero. They are the one that really needs to be honored is the one up front in the uniform. Led by deep humility, military spouses carve out a tight community of those who fully understand what they give up, their careers, that they may never fully dig gardens with deep roots. Perhaps they hope retirement will offer a yard to lay down their tired bodies and that their own health will remain strong. Perhaps they can find a town, neighbors, and a church that surrounds and understands and loves them fully and unquestioning. Their choices affirmed. We may never understand those of us who do not live this life of constant packing and unpacking, those of us who did not live with a tightly closed box quickly stashed on a shelf of a back closet, containing the deepest fears of a knock on the door with stiff uniform standing tall with pained with shattering news. We may never fully comprehend the stretch of time and a long separation with scratchy phone and video calls across time zones from scattered lands and the nagging question when they don't call, why haven't I heard from them? Even when the tall uniform bearers of pain show up, not at your door, but your neighbor's door. We may not fully understand how you drop everything and show up again and again, sharing your strength, even as your heart silently whispers, "Thank God, not mine." We may never fully understand, but we can bear witness. We can offer our deep, soul-filled gratitude that we see you over there and in here in our community. And we see that you share again and again your strength, your wisdom, your patience, and your style, your own style of brilliant leadership. You show us how to heal, how to give, a generosity embodied on a path to healing through love for all. I have stood next to you as we bury your beloved deep in the earth or scattered ashes upon the winds of eternity. I have felt your strength and your resilience, and I know you are connected across history to military families who have stood at the graveside too many times and watered the earth with your tears and bleeding heart. Your stories are our stories of service to others. Always service to others, even when your own heart, broken into 1,000 pieces, is scattered around your feet on the very earth where your beloved is buried. You transform your pain into love for others. This, my friends, my beloved, this is the antidote to war. This is the countermeasure to hate and destruction. This kind of love is the cure for all our misunderstandings and our misgivings. This kind of service is the kind that transforms love and breaks down barriers with tears and compassion. It is through service to our community that we honor our service members and their beloved family. When we give, we instill in our hearts and the hearts of all the people that we come in contact with as we transform using the power of liberating love. So I see you, the Monicas and the Veronicas, there in the shadows, the beloved families supporting our service members, holding your space and ours too. We are connected, so please accept our love as a prayerful balm upon your body. Please know that we see you for your pain, even more for your incredible strength and compassion. We see you for the source of courage and endurance that you bring to all of us. Thank you. Blessed be, and amen.
Would you turn in your gray hymnals, please, to number 131, 131, Love Will Guide Us. Words are also available on the screen or in your orders of service. Love will guide us, peace is trying us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Will you join me as we unite our voices to recite the words to extinguish our chalice, words known within our hearts and can be found displayed upon your screen? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
My beloved, as you embrace this Memorial Day weekend, please do so with deep gratitude and acknowledgement for all those who have died in service to our country, but also for those who stand behind them, the wives and husbands, the spouses, the parents and the children, the cousins, and all of us carry this weight upon us. It is an interconnected community. May we all seek forgiveness for the sins that we have brought upon ourselves and each other, but most of all, may we find gratitude in the love that we share with one another. Blessed be, and amen. Please return in peace, always in peace.
I'm coming home, I've done my time. Now I've got to know what is and isn't mine. If you received my email telling you I'd soon be free, then you'll know just what to do if you still want me. If you still want me. Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years, do you still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me. If I don't see a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. Boy, you're gonna regret if I don't see those ribbons. Bus driver, please look for me, 'cause I couldn't bear to see what I might see. I'm really still in service, and my love, he holds the key. A simple yellow ribbon's what I need to set me free. I text and told him, please, oh yeah, tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years, do you still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me. If I don't see a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. Now the whole damn bus is cheering, and I can't believe I see, yeah, 100 yellow ribbons round the old oak tree, yeah.
You are all invited to turn on your videos.